So what do all the talking heads have in common? They all have in common that I would not have ever heard of them if it was not for President Trump. So I voted for President Trump because of the prophecy that Kim Clements gave before he died, that President Trump would run the 2 terms and that he would restore this nation. So basically, my goal is to pray for the restoration of this United States, because we have been under siege, and we have been for sale, and we have been invaded by the inside, people on the inside of this country and people on the outside of this country. So my prayer is always for those in authority over me, not for the talking heads, not for those that are looking for the light for themselves, not those that are trying to make a name for themselves. Okay, so that's what's happening. And what is happening is, because they have such a platform and such a reach, they are being paid. Now, I don't know why this is so shocking for people, but when you have millions of followers, people are going to pay you. And if you have no integrity, if you have no integrity, if you are not born again, you have no integrity. You don't have any moral compass. So anytime someone comes and they give you a check and they tell you what to say, you have no problem saying it, because you're all about self. And so when somebody has millions of followers, when they have a platform with millions of followers and they lack integrity, they can be purchased. This is shocking to a lot of you, because a lot of you are more loyal to your talking heads than you are to the country, than you are to Christ. And the reason that you're like this is because you have not encountered Christ. Yes, it's offensive. Be offended, because you should be. And so when you have not encountered Jesus, you don't have a leg to stand on. You are literally blown about with every wind of doctrine. Whatever someone says, you believe it. You readily accept any conspiracy, because it all sounds good. But you have yet to ask the Holy Spirit, what is this about? He will tell you. He is the truth. So that's what's happened. These people that are on the right were never really on the right, because the Bible clearly says, if they left from among you, they were never with you. This is for anybody. Haven't any of you ever had a fake friend? If you have a friend that all of a sudden they fell out about nothing, they were never your friend. So these people were never at all. They were just hanging on to this man's coattails because they knew what he was capable of doing, because he was already in the White House. They wanted their names to be attached. There are people like that. I know it's very hard to believe. I have encountered it myself, and I'm not even nobody. Folks try to mosey up to me and all this stuff, and they want to talk to me, and they want to do stuff for me and send me books and all kinds of stuff. I am not interested, because I know the strings that come with that. But when somebody is a president, that is a big deal. And if you can hang out in the White House, and if you can, millions of followers that voted for this man will look at you, that's what you want, especially if you're someone that is ambitious and has not been led or guided by God. I hope that came across correctly. So what's happening is that the devil is trying to destroy the United States from within, the whole dividing of the party. But it's not a dividing, it's a separating. Because like I said, if they leave from you, they were never with you. And so this is not about worshiping a man. This is about the unrealistic expectations that people have put on him, because they have made him God. See, they have made him God the same way they make everybody else God. So the man has not even been in office a whole year, and he has gotten things accomplished more than presidents that have been sitting in that White House for 8 entire years. How many can say that they have done what he's done in less than a year without pay? But it's a thankless job, right? Because every armchair quarterback on Facebook has something to say about the prices have not gone down. The reason you notice that is because he's your God. If God was your God, you would have the money to pay for them eggs, and you wouldn't think nothing about it. And then you would pay for your neighbor's eggs. I know I'm stepping on your toes, but Jesus is a healer, so go right to him to get healed. Somebody has to say this. Y'all have seen this man as God, and this is why you're so mad and you're ready to jump ship, because he has not done everything that you think he should do in under a year's time. He should jump when you say jump. The stuff that's important to you should be important to him. The leader of the free world. You see how selfish you sound and how ignorant? You see what happened to King David? In his own house, his son rose up, slept with one of the women that he had. He did that as a power play. Then he went to the people and told them that he could feed them, that he could do this stuff. But see, God didn't crown his son. God crowned David. But his son went to take authority from him because he thought he could do a better job, but he was not anointed to do it. This is no different than King Saul. The people wanted a king, and that bothered God. He's like, they have rejected me. They want a king, so give them a king. And God gave him Saul, right? And do you see what Saul did? So then God had to come in and had to give him David. This is not about just anybody choosing anybody. The prophecy was given. The prophecy has to be given before anything is done in this world. The entire Old Testament prophesied about Jesus. It had to be said. And this is what happened when it came to President Trump. God woke me up this morning at 4:05. I couldn't even get back to sleep. I was in a deep sleep in the middle of a dream, and all of a sudden my eyes flew open. And he told me, he compared it to Moses. He compared it to Moses. Just because the people have rejected him, it does not mean I have. It is proof that God's hand is on this man. It is proof that God chose him. Anybody that God chooses goes through fire. Anybody that God chooses is rejected by the world because they look at them for a reason to hate him because everybody else does. It is easier to say that you don't agree with him anymore. It is easier to say that you are not on board because now you don't have the pressure from the world. And many of you you are just too flimsy. Your backbone, you don't have one. You are too flimsy. Anytime your family says anything, the people in your timeline, you have decided, yes, they were right. This is going to feel good to finally criticize this man that is in his 70s, that is working for free, a billionaire that can be sitting at home doing anything in this world. But he has chosen, and I don't believe he has chosen. I believe he was born for this. We were all born for something. Everything that we are doing in this life, God put in us before the foundations of this world. And he was destined to be where he is before the foundations of this world. That man could be living a good life. Instead, he has had to go to court. He has been convicted of felonies, accused of sexual assault, all kinds of things because they hate this man because he's trying to help you. But instead of praying for the president and those in authority, you've taken up stones just like everybody else. You are no different and you're not special and you are not enlightened and you're not woke. It shows that you do not have any spiritual sight, that you do not know that whenever a prophecy comes, the fight comes from the bowels of hell. We are in a fight. And instead of you turning tail like a coward, why don't you just say, you know what? This is a fight. Why is the devil fighting? See, this is what people don't understand. This is what gets me about the body of Christ. They say that we have an enemy and they blame Satan. But the moment Satan starts doing Satan stuff, they act like it's not happening. Satan is doing Satan stuff. Satan is pointing at the leader of the free world that has stopped numerous wars and has brought in money to this country to help us become prosperous again. And he's pointing at him, and people are out there with picket signs every other day. Printed up picket signs. Just these people that don't have jobs or anything else. I'm sure that they haven't been paid or sent out there. Wink. So basically, this is what's happening. I just wanted to make this video because I need you to know that we have a real enemy. And that he's coming for the leader of this free world because he wanted those borders to stay open. He wants to turn this United States into a third world country. And instead of you opening your spiritual eyes, I'm not talking about these natural ones, who if you got sight, you need to have spiritual sight. You need to be able to see what's going on and stop being so blind. Stop acting like the carnal heathen. They don't know nothing. These people rail against Trump and you ask them now, what has he done to bother you? Nothing. They just heard. They just told. So basically, the mainstream media told them. So the mainstream media today are the scribes of yesterday. And so they're getting this stuff out here and they're saying all this stuff. This is no different than when Jesus stood there. When Jesus stood there and they said, why don't you choose? Which prisoner do you want to be released? And they chose a murderer over Jesus who had not done anything. Some of them fed. Some of them ate. He fed a lot of these people, healed a lot of these people, hadn't done anything. But because the enemy got in their mind, they chose Barabbas. Do you not see now? Open your eyes. I'm trying to get you to see. This ought not be. There's so many are turning tail and running from the devil because the fight has gotten too hard. It's not been a year. And y'all are expecting a miracle from this man that has been put there to make your life better. He has done more than any sitting president ever, yet he is being called the worst president ever. Don't you see this as a demonic attack? If you don't, you are spiritually blinded. And you need to open your eyes. Father, open their eyes to see and open their ears so that they may hear. And strengthen these backbones because they have become flimsy. Too much sugary teaching. Get this stuff together. This is ridiculous. There is no way in the world this man should have to fight the people on the left and now the people on the right. The people from within have come against this man that folk wouldn't even know them had it not been for them. But God's going to deal with them all, and they're going to all be dealt with openly. Mark my words.